Welcome gamers to another video on Cards, the Universe, and Everything. Today we're going to take a look at deck building. If this is your first time, your first experience with Cards, the Universe, and Everything, I'll have a basics video right over here that you can take a look at. Otherwise, let's get right into it. So to build a deck, you come in here to Cards and Decks. And here, then down to My Decks down here, and it'll have a list of all the decks that you've built thus far. You scroll over to an empty slot, create a new deck, and you come in here. Let's take a look at the filters as to how you can narrow down the cards. There are thousands of different cards to choose from. First thing you can do is you can come in here and filter by the basic set, paleontology, life on land, oceans, things like that. So if you want a deck that's themed around a certain faction, then you can do that. And then you can go even dig a little bit deeper into deep ocean creatures or crustaceans. Let's take a look at just some oceans and ocean mammals. So then you can see it just shows us ocean mammals. And you see there's a bunch of different ocean mammals that I've collected so far. You can always hit the reset button up here at the top to clear any filters that you've set up so far. And you can see if we go to oceans without the ocean mammals selected, we get a lot of other categories than just ocean mammals. You can also then filter it by the cost of the cards. This is the energy. So we'll take it down to 4, say done. Oh, we didn't select oceans though. So now you can see the cephalopods that were there before are no longer there because they all cost 6, and we said we only want things from 0 to 4 energy. Same thing applies for the power of the card. If you're looking for specific cards, you can also filter by the rarity, rare, legendary, epic cards, and what type of card it is, whether it's standard, a card that you've crafted or leveled up. You can also select just favorites or exclude your favorite cards. If you look down here at the abilities, you can filter by cards that say give you energy, and then it will just show you cards that affect the amount of energy that you have each round. You can combine these. Say you want, when you draw the card and you are the target, so now the ability is energy. When you draw a card, your energy will be affected. So if we take a look at that, you can see here on this card, when you draw this card, you're going to gain 4 energy that you can use to cast to play your cards. You can also then sort by different things, sort by the name, by the date you received it, sort by rarity so that you have your rare cards, which tend to be more powerful, up towards the top or towards the bottom. You can sort by the amount of power that the card costs, or the energy, or the number of them that you own. So that's how the filters work. You can also just search over here. So for example, we just want to see cards that affect oceans, that have oceans in the name. So you can see on this Blue Jay card, your oceans and seas cards, wherever they are, gain +10 until played. So this card, even though it's not within the oceans and seas set, still has an effect on them. So you can use this search to find things that will work with the other cards that are in your deck, and find things that for combos and things like that. You can also then, we will stop editing this one. We can take a look at this deck that I've made. You can see here the deck stats. So this will show you what the average energy cost of cards in your deck is. You can see what the average power of the card is, of the cards in your deck, and most importantly, the power per energy. This is for each point of energy you spend, how much power are your cards producing. You can see how many rare, epic, legendary, fusion, and mythic cards are in your deck. And then you can also see, based on the category of cards, how many you have and how many of those cards have special abilities. So then if we come back over here and look at this particular deck, some different strategies you can use is you can look for combos that will gain you extra power. For example, the Oviraptor. When you play this card, your Dinosaur Eggs card in hand gains 50 this turn. So if you play both of these together, this Dinosaur Egg will get plus 50 power during this turn. So normally it would cost 6 energy to play these two cards, and you would get 58 power in return, which isn't a great return on investment. But if you play them together, you get an extra 50 power, and now you get 108 power for your 6 energy, and that's a much better return on points per energy spent. Another thing you can look into is cards that give temporary buffs, like that one, or like Henry Highland Garnet. The cards in hand, when you draw him, all the cards in your hand gain plus 10 for that round. Or this one here, when you're losing the round, your cards in hand gain 10 energy. So those are cards that will buff the cards in your hand temporarily. There's also other cards that will buff your cards permanently. This one, and I'm not even going to pretend to try to say that name. If it's the first turn, he gains temporary bonus with plus 35 power, but when it returns back to your deck after the round, or after the turn, it gains plus 3 power permanently, or it costs plus 3 power or energy permanently. So that one is one that has a temporary effect, but also a permanent effect. This particular deck that I built has a lot of cheap cards in it. As we can see in the deck stats, 2.4 is the average cost. A standard casual game gets 7 points per round, so I can on average play 3 cards every round. That's 7.2 average energy. So I'll be able to play 3 cards per round, all of which hopefully are buffing each other, as we saw from the other cards. So one strategy was having powerful combos. Another strategy is trying to get cheap cards so that you can play a lot of cards at the same time, or cards that give you more energy so that you can play higher powered cards, higher cost cards more frequently. There's also cards that will debuff your opponent. Things like burn cards will remove power from your opponent's cards, or you can cards that will lock your opponent's cards. So you can think about that when you're building your deck as well. So let's put together a quick deck and see how we can put all of that into use. Come over here. There's a deck that I've put together a couple of different times, a little bit different each time. We're going to come into arts and culture, and we're going to look at prominent painters. Prominent painters, done. Okay, so I've got 15 cards in this collection. So we'll just, for right now, throw in all 15 of these cards for simplicity's sake. Okay, so I have all those cards in there now. The deck has 18 cards, and so we have room for 3 more. So let's turn off our filters now. We still have the 15 cards we put in there. And let's look for prominent painters. So you can see this card here gives a bonus to prominent painters. And this card here gives a bonus to prominent painters. And you can see on this one, prominent painter cards, wherever they are, gain +6 until played. So all the cards in the deck that are prominent painters, when I draw this card, are going to get +6, and they'll continue to have that +6 until they get played. And the same thing with this card. Prominent painters, wherever they are, gain +12 until played. This one also has some debuffing built into it, where a random card in your opponent's hand gains burn 12. So every round or every turn they're going to lose 12 points off of that card until they play it. So that gets us 17. Let's cancel that, and how about we just look for cards that affect other arts cards, because those are all arts cards. So we could put in this guy. See, it's got arts as a keyword in there, but it's not arts and culture. This guy will give all my arts and culture cards in hand 10, and all the prominent painters are arts and culture. This one, they all gain +12 until played. That's a little bit better, although this one is cheaper. I think we'll put that one in there, and then we hit complete deck. Find a nice image to put for it. That looks like a paintbrush. We'll use that. And we'll call this one Prominent. Prominent. That might be right. How about we just call it Painters? And save the deck. And now we've got the Painters deck. And if we come back over here to play casual and select a deck, you can see that the one we just made is the one that it automatically selects. And here we have it. So now a lot of these cards are going to give bonuses to each other. All the common and rare prominent painters gain +14 until played. So this is a deck that it will continue building up all the cards anywhere in your deck until they're played. So each turn you take is building up the cards that you're going to be drawing later. So it's a little slow to get going, and you may lose the first round, but it's a good deck for later, for longer matches. And that is how you make decks in Cards, the Universe, and Everything. If you found this video helpful or you enjoyed it at all, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and stay tuned for more videos on Cards, the Universe, and Everything, and other games as well. Thanks. See you later.